All right.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the second phase of our presentation this night. Our guest is already hooked up, and in a moment you will be hearing his voice and the interview we're going to be. I have with me here Soji Billyrose. In case you're wondering, yeah, we're live, sir.
For we have grown, and the practice have grown. We expect harmonization of whatever we are doing across Africa, so that we'll be able to deliver on the core mandate and requirements of medical lab practice, in Africa. The gaps is very huge, and I think very, very deliberate needs to take the issue of harmonizing the curriculum across either West Africa or Africa issue. The has in our practice are unable to rise to the occasion, be able to meet the expectations of their countries with respect to delivering on the core mandates of medical laboratory sciences. Okay, so the gaps are there, obviously, and I think we need to be more deliberate and more more serious about how, so that we'll be able to give our people the best of practice across not only Nigeria but also in Africa. If you ask me, is it time when is the time ripe? I'll say yes. The time was ripe since yesterday, and we really need to do something about this. Otherwise, I tell you, the story, the woeful story in Africa and the woeful indices, health indices that we have, will continue. The lab is at the heart of the practice of medicine. If you remove the laboratory practice, then what you have is mere guesswork. Okay, so we cannot overemphasize the role of lab practice in the development and advancement of medical practice at its where and healthcare practice globally. So we need to strengthen laboratory infrastructure across Africa, but more importantly, the manpower gap need to be addressed. Okay, and one way to address the manpower gap is to harmonize curriculum across Africa, across all the sub-regions in Africa, so that we'll be able to advance the practice and ensure everybody is on the same page with respect to the practice in both Nigeria and across Africa, the continent of Africa, so to say.
Okay. The pandemic has led to a new normal in our society and in science generally. Would you say our present BMLS curriculum is in tandem with the new world?
Well, I think the drafters of the curriculum did a very wonderful job.
Okay.
And I will tell you for free that the BMLS curriculum is one of the best medical lab science curriculum you can find across the world. Okay, we've been able to add critical value, to the content and the context of that curriculum. So I think the curriculum is rich enough. In fact, at the time, the West Africa Health Organization were trying to adopt the West Africa, adopt the BMLS curriculum for domestication across the West African countries because of its content. So it's rich enough. But what I think, where I think we need to add more value is to enrich it when it comes to skills, the aspect of technical
skills, not the science part of it.
Yes, no, yes, not the science. We have the science. The science is quite elaborate. Okay, it's quite rich, but the technical skills aspect of it is what I think we need to focus more on, because medical lab science is a science-based occupation. Okay, so you need knowledge, both knowledge and skills, technical dexterity to be able to drive the occupation. So what we have is a lot of science embedded in the curriculum.
Yes.
All right. I tell you for free that most of our people go through these courses and have their brains filled up with a lot of knowledge, but the mastery and the skills, is where I think the problem is, where we need to address it. And I tell you that COVID-19, was able to expose the weaknesses in the curriculum, because the professionals, as it were unable to rise up in full.
All right.
Okay, to the reality that the pandemic presents. For instance, we were challenged to the foundation of our profession. Okay, when it comes comes to getting more knowledge, skills, and expertise in the area of molecular biology. These are things that were taught in depth in schools, but when you come to practice, only few facilities, have molecular biology or the PCR platforms, deployed for use. So people are unable to, strengthen their technical dexterity because they couldn't even find some of the platforms for which, they will use, to do such. And then even when people go for trainings and continuous professional development courses, most of these trainings in molecular biology and other sophisticated sciences, are taught theoretically. Is only find, practical sessions, technical sessions or workshops being organized to really hands-on training, in these areas. So we were challenged, obviously, struggled a bit before we stabilized with the, with the issues of getting the experts to plug and play, as it were, into the needs and expectations as they're presented. Again, you look at the area of healthcare commodities and consumables. Only 1 or 2 centers were able to produce, VTMs, the viral transport medium, to assist their government. These technical skills are being lost. Back in the days, we produce every reagent, okay? Every reagent is produced in the lab. Most of the solvents that are needed for our experiments are produced in the lab, validated in the lab for use. But these days, we're in the era of kits, where people just buy these kits and then they run. So most of the knowledge and the sciences that we used to have, we are I'll tell you, losing most of them. We are losing them. Most people cannot do simple calculations again, convert from one form of unit to the other. We have lost our knowledge when it comes to deriving equations from first principles, second principles, and all of that. Those things are becoming obsolete. But actually, the kits that you use, they are standardized using these equations. So we need a return to skills. We need to put the emphasis on technical dexterity and skill acquisition. We need our trainees to spend more time, acquiring mastery of methods and laboratory techniques. Is very, 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 very important. So we need people like product or application specialists in the field. We were challenged because only few persons, we had only few product and application specialists in molecular biology who were going around to install some of these PCR equipment across the country. And I tell you, the few of them that I know, they were overstretched because they had to do a lot of travels to go install. In fact, they work very hard and of course tediously so. So there is a manpower gap, obviously, and the manpower gap is not because the personnel are not available, but because we have very few people who have very deep or enriched technical skills, to be able to deploy when needed and where needed.
Okay, sir. Now looking at what is happening, you realize that the COVID-19 pandemic has placed so much light and emphasis on molecular biology and research. Now, would you agree with me that these are not extensively studied in our BMLS program? So, what are the way forward? What are the ways forward?
Yes. Well, for being studied, unfortunately, these courses are enshrined in the curriculum, all right? But sometimes finding the experts, because I tell you, most of our the lecturers in the universities need a kind of pre-service training to be able to develop expertise. You have situations where people who teach some of these courses, have obsolete experiences in handling some of these equipment, and they need refresher courses or what I call trainer courses. So most people, learn these things more or less theoretically.
Okay.
Theoretically. Even the lecturers who are training them, are just dishing out theories. I will challenge you, to go search how many only few probably you will find, okay? But in the same universities, they are teaching molecular biology courses. So the students, there is no way the students will be able to appreciate and be able to, properly understand what they are being taught. So the same thing research, okay?
Yeah.
The same thing you find in the area of research. In fact, the name laboratory scientist is a huge body.
Okay.
It's a huge body. We are actually supposed to be leaders when it comes to research. We're supposed to be leaders. Every hospital, every facility is supposed to have a research group, and then you have doctors who are we have doctors who are into research, form research groups.
Okay.
I want to take bottle. Sorry, I had some distractions.
It's okay, sir.
So so you have most of the facilities, with research clubs, but I tell you they cannot function properly because they do not have probably medical lab scientists who have in-depth knowledge, in research. And every research group is as good as a scientist in that group. Okay, I can tell you this for free.
Right.
Like I, for example, I'm a sub-investigator for several researches, and one of the grants we got in millions, was because I was in the group.
Okay.
When the people came, and then they asked a few questions and said, who is the scientist on this group? And then I indicated, and they asked me a few questions about how we'll do our DNA extraction, how are we going to store samples for sequencing, and all of that. And we're able to provide the answers. I tell you, immediately they gave their nod and said, I think we have a complete team here. Okay, and approval was given for that grant. So we need our people, in research groups so that we can actually be involved in clinical researches. Okay. Yeah. Yes, we need our people, in all of these research clubs across facility, and that is why I said the name medical lab scientist is a huge body.
Yes.
Is a huge body, and that we really need to sit up so that we can provide the needed leadership and direction and support to clinical researchers and principal investigators, across the country.
Okay. The next question I'll need to ask you, like you mentioned earlier that the curriculum we have here in Nigeria is one of the most comprehensive when you compare it to other African nations. Now, it has been noted that there is no uniformity in curriculum across schools of the MLS. So what are the effects of this, and what could be the solution to this as well?
Yeah, this is, I agree totally with you that there is no uniformity when it comes to the curriculum, because apart from providing a template by the council, and then NUC going to accredit those, there are modifications in the curriculum from one university to the other. Okay, if you find a particular HOD, for example, who has specialization or special interest in molecular biology, you will discover that he will make a lot of investment in molecular biology, and his students will be very vast in molecular biology. I will mention, for instance, LAUTECH. Okay, LAUTECH have been lucky with having a lot of very seasoned molecular biologists, medical lab scientists, and you'll find out most of the graduates from LAUTECH are very, very seasoned when it comes to molecular biology. The same thing University of Maiduguri also. But you don't find this, harmonized across board. So you'll find some universities where the HOD or their core competencies probably is in bacteriology, okay? Or they have a renowned professor of bacteriology in that place and probably has won some grants to be able to do some studies around bacteriology. So there will be huge investment in bacteriology, and that will also, impact on the quality of graduates, from that place. So you see them having more competencies, probably in bacteriology and all of that. But this is not supposed to be. That is not to be the case. Okay, so there is no harmonization. I can tell you this for free. You have some universities, for example, who have stopped specialization at first degree level. You have some universities, for instance, who are still specializing at first degree. Okay, one specialization. You have other universities, for instance, who do double specialization.
Like
They'll
University
say,
of Nigeria, I did double specialization. I specialized in hematology
good.
as a major and minor in histopathology.
All right. So you can find out this kind of discrepancy. We need to harmonize. Now, when you go to universities that do not specialize, okay, I do not know whether those students can be plug and play. When it comes to you cannot define them or associate them with a particular competency. Okay, and depth, because the truth is, I am one of those people who still believe seriously that we need specialization. Okay, even though I believe the 5 years program is too small to be able to do justice to medical lab. Medical lab has a lot in it, because if you look at the industry requirement and versus what we are training people for, you will discover there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
Okay, are we actually training just to certificate people, or we are training them to be able to be useful to industries?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the things that we need to seriously address. Are we just certifying people, or we are looking at what the industry requires? What are the industry? Okay, what is the expectation for medical lab science graduates?
Okay.
So these are the things that I believe that when we do review of our curriculum, we need to, put into the curriculum whenever they are reviewed. We really need to do that. So this specialization, I tell you, is something that I believe should continue. But I also strongly believe that we need to harmonize the curriculum across Nigeria, so that when you see a graduate of UNN or ABU or Sokoto, they should be the same in terms of knowledge. Yes, and competencies should be the same. You should not be afraid of saying, you hear these days people say, oh, you're from UNN, I will take you, or UNN graduates are good, or you are from Maiduguri, or you are from one other university, and then people say, oh, this other university, they are good, these other universities, no, is a no for me. So that is not acceptable. Should be able to create that uniformity across trainings and practice.
Who should be responsible for creating this conformity, this uniformity across board? Who should be held responsible?
Council has a lot of role to play. The Medical Lab Science Council of Nigeria has a lot of role to play in all of this. Yes, they are the custodians of the profession. They are the regulators of the profession. If you look at the mandate, the mandate of the Medical Lab Science is to regulate and accredit. They regulate the practice. You understand? And accredit programs or in the schools of technology, where the technician program and the staff programs, are held. So the Medical Lab Science, Council need to harmonize this curriculum and work with NUC, the Nigerian University Commission, okay, to enforce this uniformity. We must enforce it. Probably where the difference can come is in taking off probably electives, one or two electives that probably people will want to take. But in the core courses, okay, in the core courses, they should be the same across board. So the Medical Lab Science Council of Nigeria need to up its game when it comes to harmonizing the curriculum and insisting that universities use the updated or the most revised curriculum, the most recently revised curriculum, for their training programs across board. So it's very, very important. The Medical Lab Science Council of Nigeria must work in tandem with the Nigeria University Commission to ensure that these uniformities are enforced across board.
But now, in fairness to the developers, curriculum looks very robust and encompassing. However, the world is ever dynamic and reviews are inevitable. Now, like there was something you were saying. We have moved away from robust testing to rapid testing, and most of the time, some are not taught in school. Now, would you call for an immediate review of the curriculum so that all this rapid testing, production of rapid kits can be part of our curriculum, apart from those robust preparation of reagents, like we've always noted, and most of the times when we have conversations on social media, you hear some of our professors say that they prepare their reagents and carry out analysis by themselves. But now you realize that that is no longer happening because a lot of big firms have come into play, and they are now preparing rapid test kits to help reduce the timeline it takes for a result to be carried out and for a test to be carried out and result released to the patient. So what do you think we should do about the curriculum in this regard?
I tell you, we really need to review the curriculum so that it can meet the expectation of the moment. Okay, you develop curriculum, like I said, not just for the purposes of acquiring knowledge, but you want to meet the needs of society. Exactly. All right, and then whenever you receive gaps after your audit, okay, you review the curriculum to be able to close those gaps. For instance, if you go to most of the sophisticated corporate laboratories that you find in country, if you bring a medical lab graduate and you throw him into that place, the first thing he will find is confusion. Okay, it's confusion. Yes, because he'll be wondering where is he going to start from. Because what he is taught in school and what he's seeing, it looks like two different worlds. For instance, the laboratory information management system, the LIS. These things are not practically taught in schools.
Yes.
How you network the laboratory from when you profile a patient to sample collection at the phlebotomy unit, okay, to sample segregation, to when you move the sample, the process to work area, and then when you complete that task on your system, validate them and authenticate them, and then the results are released. Okay, so but these are what you now. The same thing also you find standard phlebotomy procedures. You cannot find, apart from maybe a training, a course called standard phlebotomy procedure. What you do is that you do your normal training in the classes, and then you go to the labs for hands-on training, and then you find a senior colleague say, okay, go and start from the phlebotomy unit. There is no course content for phlebotomy unit. You just go in there, and then you watch somebody collect blood samples, and then you go.
Yes.
Okay. But you see, in training, I have about 108 slides for standard phlebotomy practice, patient preparation, order of blood draws, how to take capillary blood, venous blood, and then all that. These things have to be taught and understood. Okay. So are this thing enshrined in our curriculum? I can't find it. All right. Okay. So you also have like quality management system.
Yes.
what you find taught in the university, probably you have somebody come define what is quality assurance, define QCs, tells you about pre-analytical quality control, analytical quality control, post-analytical quality control, what you need to do, and that's all. Okay? But when you're looking, building capacity in such a way that the person is able to apply the 12 quality essentials and understands the ISO 15189, okay, for laboratory quality and competency. You can find it. Okay, right. So I tell you, these things are not taught enough. I wouldn't say they're not being taught, but they're not taught enough. Even when automation are discussed, you have somebody who has never used automated system before, has not seen what a huge Roach platform looks like, a Siemens platform look like. The highest he has probably seen is a spec, a manual spec, and then he's the one handling and teaching, automation. What is he going to teach? Okay, so your guess is as good as mine, when it comes to all this. So we need to define this thing. And then you look at HSE certification, health, safety, and environment certification. Our colleagues need to, have these trainings. What stops us, for instance, from borrowing, from what the accounting students do, when in the course of their programs, you'll find out that most of them register for ICANN.
While they are still in school.
Maybe from 100 level. Exactly. And before they finish, some of them are certified. Even those who are not certified, probably by the time they move for their youth service or a few years into their service years, they're able to get certified. Why can't we, for example, as part of the qualification exams that is required for a BMLS, insist that people should take, even if it is online courses, in a quality management system, ISO 52189.
Okay.
So that by the time you are graduating with an ISO certification.
As an add-on.
Yes, or a HSC certification. Okay, or a certification in dangerous goods that enables you to know how to package samples, biological samples for shipment. So why can't we do some of those things? Some of these courses are online. Yes. All right. So people can, when people are graduating, understand, all that is required for them to in a laboratory. So we need to do this. And then issues of ethics and professionalism, issues of, laboratory entrepreneurship. You have people, teach some of these courses who have no business, taking
They don't have experience in laboratory business, and yet they are teaching entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes they borrowed some lecturers from the Department of Business Administration, to come and train medical students or medical lab science students on businesses. And probably the highest that person has done is to own a computer center, to computer center in the university. Okay, so this is the reality, and we need this training. I tell you, there are some emerging fields in lab practice. For example, pathology business managers are needed.
Okay.
Yes, pathology business managers will have mentor laboratories, have startup laboratories, okay, and all that is needed to be able to, for a lab to start up, with respect to equipment, consumables, and manpower requirement, certification, and regulatory requirements, is able to advise, So we need pathology business managers to be able to, to be able to help us do emerging fields. We also need system and application specialists.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. People who are trained on certain platforms, instrument platforms, to be able to, like maybe Siemens, Roach platforms, and uh, Atelica.
It's totally fine. Totally fine. I'm doing quite great. What about you? Yeah, just weather, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so I hope I can minimize and without and it will cause any obstruction. Like I go through my slides like this. Are you still seeing me? Okay, beautiful. Oh yeah, sure. Beautiful. It's not been easy. Thank you so much and well done. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it takes practice and with well prepared, to well, very good preparation.
The sound of this thing is very good.
And it is at the moment not very well supported. Okay, if you go to places like the United States, you go generally around Europe, you discover that a lot of support is dished into social work. As a matter of fact, social work is one of the most valued and one of the most respected professions over there in the developed countries. But here in Nigeria, we're just starting. I think University of Nigeria and Suka and a couple of high institutions are those who run social work as a degree course. Okay. Now, social workers are agents that help the community improve on themselves. When you're looking at social works in Nigeria, you look at the activities that involves improving, community, improving individuals to grow and improve on themselves. Okay, how individuals can improve on themselves, how a community can improve on themselves, how a set of people can improve on themselves. Now, social work, being here for a couple of years now, has not been very well supported, but yet we have seen individuals from different spheres, okay, from different sectors of the economy step in to help make social work, to create that atmosphere for social work to thrive in Nigeria. And that is where I'm going to be stepping in gradually as I talk about, medical laboratory scientists now. As a medical laboratory scientist, social work should become something we just put our interest in, okay? It enables us to improve the life of others and the community and also improve our own self. So within a period of time, I want you to have this fact. Social work is in Nigeria, and social work has not really been given the necessary support and the necessary attention. But we're going to see, gradually what that should happen. Okay? Now, let's talk about social work and the medical laboratory scientists. I told you earlier I'm going to establish a connection between the two of them. Okay? The aim of social work is generally to improve social outcomes, especially as it concerns individuals or communities who are marginalized, okay, or communities who are economically deprived, okay, by the government or by individual, by community leaders or whosoever is responsible for that community, okay. So social work is generally to improve social outcomes, especially for those individuals. Now, that is the aim of social work. Let's look at the aim of medical laboratory sciences, okay. Now, translate that to the aim and objective of a medical laboratory scientist. We want to point out just one key aim that is important. The aim of a medical laboratory scientist, provided once he or she gets into that laboratory, is to make sure he provides accurate diagnosis, okay, of diseases and provide accurate and reliable data that will help enhance patient care and hence save the life of the patient. So if you look at it, a social worker is trying to improve the social outcomes, okay, of the community, to improve the social individuals who are community members, okay, to help them have a better life, to help them have better access to quality healthcare, to help them have better roads, to help them have food on their tables, okay, to eradicate poverty. Concept of the SDGs, you discover that the entire SDG from 1 down till 17 is aimed at, is generally a field work for social workers. Are you getting it? And I know a couple of us are already working to see how we can advance the cause of one SDG or the other. You're already a social worker, but you probably never defined that from the start. Okay, so the medical laboratory scientists want to help create better healthcare for the patient and also save the life of the patient. And the social worker is also trying as much as he or she can to create a better atmosphere for the for residents of a community, that is being marginalized, to have better opportunities and access better opportunities out there. You understand? So if you look at it, you discover that both the social worker and the medical laboratory scientists are already doing the same thing, but at different levels. Okay? They're doing the same thing, but at different levels. Now, medical laboratory scientists venture into social works. This is a very, very important point I want to really put stress on. Okay? Why should a medical laboratory scientist venture into social work? There are quite numerous factors. I'm a medical laboratory scientist. I've been involved in social work for I think about 6 years now. I went full time for about 6 years now, and I will tell you, if you know me and you've been following me, you get to understand that my life at the moment and my life 6 years ago is entirely different, a different ballgame entirely. Okay, now one key point here is networking and visibility. As a medical laboratory scientist, in the healthcare delivery system, you come to understand that medical laboratory scientists are the detectives of healthcare. We are always kept behind. We are the ones doing the groundwork, looking for the disease, looking for the virus, looking for that bacteria, okay, checking which parasite caused that particular disease and all that. And we keep working, okay? And most of the time, people who are seen in the forefront of healthcare delivery are not necessarily the medical laboratory scientists, because they are the bedrock of modern medicine. You get the point? So we are the bedrock of modern medicine. So we don't usually get that visibility. But now, through social work, as a medical laboratory scientist, engaging yourself with social work presents you the opportunity to work as a medical laboratory scientist in the presence of individuals. It gives you that opportunity to be on a platform. You understand? So it gives you visibility. That's one. Two, connect you with individuals from different walks of life. Okay, through social works, I've once met the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Federal House of Representatives here in Nigeria. I've visited this, okay, so I've had contact with individuals and I've also been impacted. Social works network with individuals from different walks of life. If you're coming from a very wealthy background, for instance, social works give you the opportunity, when you work with marginal, tend to see that there are a different class of people in this environment. You will definitely have, life is not even the opportunity to create influence for yourself and for the people you are even helping and lending a help to. Social works give you the opportunity to create impact. Okay, I was having a conversation with someone recently, and he asked me, said, if someone asks you, why exactly are you living? I said, there's a lot of answers to that question, but the key thing is, I'm living because I want to add value. That's one thing for me as a person. I want to add value. Okay, I want to leave a legacy. When leaving the earth, when someone checks, my record, it will be clear that because I was alive for so duration of years, so person had a better life, so community were happy. Let there be results. Okay, so social work is a field where you can truly make a difference. Okay, you are helping people take action to solve their problems and improve their situations. That's one way to add value to others. And as a medical laboratory scientist, if you truly look at your position as a medical lab scientist as a position that needs to lend a helping hand, as a position that can be used to make a difference, then social work is one angle that you need to consider. Okay, now social work brings about growth and skill development. Through social work, I've seen the opportunity where I connect myself to tech, and today I have a good knowledge about technology and all that. Social work has helped me improve my presentation skills. It has given me the platform to learn so many things that is far different from medical laboratory sciences. So I'm a medical laboratory scientist today. I have close to about 21 different skills You understand? Now, this is as a result of my involvement with social works, because today I'm on this particular project, trying to assist, trying to help. I get a lot of skills. I learn. There are certain projects you get involved with as a social worker, and you're probably volunteering or you are assigned on a project. You are expected to handle a particular task. If you don't have that task, the atmosphere creates itself such that you are taught because of the opportunity, because of the to go through trainings, and you improve yourself. So social work brings about development, skill development. It brings about growth. Social worker, you ranging from therapy, health or mental health promotion, community organizing, a lot. Okay, all these different opportunities and experience build your skills and capacity outside the laboratory. When I mentioned to study medical laboratory sciences in the University of Jos, I told myself one clear thing, that my aim for going to school is not to just finish as a medical laboratory scientist, then go to the laboratory and remain there. That's not my aim. Okay? That is not my aim. I want to go beyond that. I want to be useful as a medical lab scientist outside the laboratory. I want to be useful as a medical lab scientist while I'm in the laboratory. So that is one thing you need to define for yourself. If you want to go into social work as a medical laboratory scientist, then you need to define the fact that as you're stepping into this field, you are coming out because you are also going to you want to create relevance outside the laboratory. Okay? Then passion. Lastly, before I scale to the next thing I'll be talking about, passion. Okay, you can become very passionate about creating social changes. Okay, even as a medical lab scientist, and that can translate to full-time social work. I remember having a conversation with one of my mentees some couple of months back, and he was asking me a question. He said, "Sir, I'm really passionate about cancer. In fact, as a matter of fact, during my undergraduate days, I actually worked on cancer. I had my research was on cancer, and I just have a feeling that I should really work more in this area." You understand? Now he's done with school and he's waiting for internship. And he asked me, he said, "Sir, what do you think I should do?" I said, "The very first thing you should do is to volunteer. Let's look for an organization or a non-governmental organization that works with aged people, or that does something on cancer that you can work with," because he never had the passion for cancer, right from when he started school. But towards the end of his stay in school as an undergraduate, he began to develop this passion. He even had his research on cancer, his undergraduate research on cancer. And today he's out from, he's graduated, he's inducted, and he wants to use this time to add value. Okay? And we got a particular organization that are working with aged people, and currently he's working with them, and he's improving his skills. I tell you boldly, when such an individual find himself somewhere, tomorrow, you discover that he had learned a lot aside from just medical laboratory sciences, and he has a lot of value to add, even when you take him outside of the laboratory. The passion was not there from the beginning, but the passion was developed along the line. So you can develop the passion. I'm saying this because I know a lot of people will be saying, a whole lot of medical scientists will be saying, this is not my field. This is not about what your field is. It's about what you are interested in solving, the problem you are interested in addressing. Okay, so if you are passionate about addressing a particular problem, find a way of relating it to what you are studying. There's always going to be a link. Use that link, establish contact, so that you can be valuable as a medical lab scientist in the lab and valuable as a medical lab scientist outside the laboratory. So the fact that you don't have the passion before you started studying medical laboratory sciences, or after you were done with your undergraduate program as a medical lab scientist, does not mean that you cannot develop passion as a practicing medical laboratory scientist to address a particular health issue. So passion can be developed even as you move along the line. Okay, now, how can medical laboratory scientists get involved in social work? That's a very big question. I know quite a lot of you are already asking that and wondering, how can a medical lab scientist get involved in social work? It's quite simple. Okay, for me and a whole lot of other people, I believe we had the opportunity to start at a very early age. I went into social work before the university. Okay, I went to social work before the university, and it started for me through volunteering. Okay, I've been a volunteer. Right now, I'm a global volunteer. I've done a lot when it comes to the volunteering space. I've trained a lot of people, and I've done a lot. And, when I look back and I check 6 years ago, I just discover the lives that I've been able to reach out to within this period of time. What if I wasn't there? What would have happened? Okay. Now, this space, I've had, earlier on, there was a time I was working on a project sometime around 2017, and I was calling for volunteers. We wanted some young people to be a part of what we're doing. And somebody asked me and he said, how much How much are you going to pay me? You understand? So that issue kept lingering. People kept asking that question. Medical laboratory scientists, if you want to go into social work, I am giving you this as a free gift. Okay? Volunteering is the key way. I've talked to you about the benefits, some of the things you benefit. Okay? When I was talking about the why, I told you a lot of things you can gain as a result of your participation in social work. Volunteering is a key access. Look for an organization where you can volunteer. We did a project in a community called Inaugural here in Plateau State, and where we discovered, these people were economically deprived and they lacked a primary health center despite having over 30,000 people living in that community. And I said something to them. I said, I'm going to follow up your situation, your case, and I'm going to follow up down to the House of Assembly to make sure that we get, your representative to look into this issue of healthcare facility. And when we eventually have a primary health center in your community and you don't have anybody to work there, I give you a guarantee, I'm going to come back and work with you as a medical lab scientist for 1 year. And I have volunteers under me. I have a whole lot of young medical lab scientists that are working with me that I know I can refer to go there, even if it means for a month. Okay? Go there, give your service. Look for an organization, look for a hospital, look for a clinic where you can just volunteer for even a month. Okay? For 3 months, for a year, for 6 months. Especially those who are waiting for an internship. That is one way to go. Now, too, you can work with non-governmental organizations. Okay, you can work with non-governmental organizations. If there's any non-governmental organization, you can apply. That is working in the field of healthcare and all that. You can apply to work with them. That is one way you reach out to many people. You can start advocating. Right now we're having a lot of misinformation and disinformation here and there about COVID-19 and a whole lot of other illness. Before COVID-19 came on board, we've had the same issue with malaria. We've had the same issue with cancer. We've had the same issue with so many other health challenges. People are misinforming people. Okay, come here, computer, go check I'm live, and they're checking a lot of things live that is not really live. You understand? So many of these things. As a medical laboratory scientist who is well trained and has a very good knowledge of pharmacology, you have a good knowledge of physiology and anatomy, you can educate people. Okay, that's even to start with. You have a good knowledge of parasitology, you have a good knowledge of bacteriology, virology, and a whole lot. You can come up and advocate for the right things to be done, even as it regards healthcare. Okay, you can empower people with the right information. Empower people with the right information. Okay, where are you? Every medical laboratory scientist is a member of a community. We should stop lying to ourselves. That you see a problem in your community and don't make an attempt to solve it still does not mean that you are not going to be a victim to that particular problem. If people are dying from malaria in your community, for instance, I love malaria a lot. I'm trying as much as I can to make sure I eradicate that particular disease from Africa entirely. If people are dying from malaria from your community, okay, and you are a medical laboratory scientist and you notice a whole lot of that happening, what are you expected to do as a medical lab scientist? That is your community. Empower the people with preventive approaches towards malaria. I stated an example. I was having a chat with someone earlier, and I told him, I said, let's assume there is cancer in this particular environment. Let's assume you have cancer in your community, and people are, not just let's say people are dying from cancer, to say, okay, from your community, and you are trying to make sure you contribute, you help these people, overcome all this and all that. What are you expected to do? Run an awareness campaign. Educate people on why they should, what they should do, how they should not use polythene while cooking. You should educate people on some of the measures. You should educate them at the risk factors, okay? The risk factors. You should educate them at people who are to cancer. Educate these people. That is one of the rules. That is one of the ways you can actually get involved. By doing all these things, you are already getting yourself involved in social work. You are already becoming a social worker despite being a medical laboratory scientist. Okay? So medical laboratory